Ratchet and Clank 2 walkthrough going Commando. So we are here on some kind of nebula, and we'll need to be taking out a what's it called? I think it's a bunch of radio arrays later on in the level. Now this is a pretty lengthy one, at least compared to a few of them. So it's got a lot to do, but it's pretty fun. And the first thing I did was spend 5,000 bolts to buy the chopper weapon, and the chopper is something I will be using pretty consistently. And I can't excuse me there. Anyway, I can't actually remember if it's in Ratchet and Clank A Crack in Time or not, because A Crack in Time was the first Ratchet and Clank that I played, and that was years ago. And then I decided suddenly I want to play through all of them, so I got to start with the original three, and here I am. So yeah, anyway, I can't remember how many weapons from these older games make appearances in the later ones. I know that the Lancer is basically the same thing as any other automatic gun that's in Ratchet and Clank, but either way, so aiming is a heck of a lot better in this game than it was in the previous Ratchet and Clank, and because of that, the game is a lot more focused on the action-y thing. You don't really stay back and fight as much as you did in the first Ratchet and Clank. There are places where it is easier to take things slow and stay in the background, but most of the time you have to get up close and personal to some of these guys, and because you can strafe and jump a lot smoother and the aiming actually aims on people instead of not aiming on people, then it's really a lot better. So for this isn't the place we'll be going first. We're going to be taking the right fork first, but I just wanted to show off these slot machines, and these are kind of fun because you can get 25 bolts from them if you get them correct, or you can get health, or you can get ammo, and sometimes you just get a dud. If you are in desperate need of health, you can sit next to these and hit them for pretty much ever and get all the health that you need. And I sped this up just because wasted a lot of time just going around and buying stuff at the vendor, and finally going down the right direction now. So this whole world is kind of it isn't covered, but it does have a lot of those vending machines or those slot machines, and once again, if you need health, then hit them until you get health, because this is also the first world where enemies are going to start doing more than 1 damage to us. So those rockets at the beginning did 2 damage, meaning I only get about 3 hits before I die, and I have 6 nanotech, so if you ask me, that's not really fair, but that's how it is. And in a way, I kind of liked how the first Ratchet and Clank had only 8 health as its maximum, because enemies, it didn't matter what enemy it was, they would only do 1 damage to you. And for the most part, you can only take 3 hits, but once you get those upgrades, you're going to take 4 and then 7 hits until you die. And in this one, it's pretty much the same thing. They just mask it because you get access to a ton of nanotech, but everything will end up doing 6 hits of damage later on in the game, so you still end up dying in 4 or 5 hits. But, you know, you'll see how that is. So the first thing we'll be seeing that's mildly new is using the tractor beam on that robot, and that robot will open up the door for us here, and then we're going to be walking in here and seeing yet another tractor beam ball here. And this tractor beam ball needs to be taken over to a door so it can blow up and give you access to that door. Now the game will glitch out as soon as your weapon is going to upgrade, so the Lancer just got upgraded to the Heavy Lancer. You get 100 more ammo, and it is obviously more powerful than it was before. So it's pretty cool, and early on in the game, as I've mentioned in previous videos, it is extremely helpful, but later on it's not going to end up being too well liked, in my opinion, just because it doesn't really kill things fast enough. The chopper weapon I will be using extremely often as time goes on, but for now, then I'll probably just be sticking with this one. So anyway, you can pick up this ball and you can bring it over here, and it's going to start blowing up, and the door should go with it. There's also that guy that's just kind of wandering around. I don't think we need him again right now, but maybe at some point. Now, these enemies that throw rockets at you can be pretty annoying. They're probably one of the first more annoying of the enemies, but they do die in a couple of hits. Like, it takes about 3 hits with the Ratchet there. I think you maybe need 4 to take them out, and then just a couple of shots from the Heavy Lancer, and down they go. And I guess I was wrong, you do need this guy because he needs to stand on this thing, and then you'll notice it kind of turns into a catapult. So as it starts spinning, this glitched out like crazy for me. Like, I was trying to move there, but nothing was happening. So anyway, finally figured it out, and finally it's moving around, and you need to catapult him up onto that platform there so you can have him activate that doorway. Now the further back you get, again it's just starting to glitch out here, the further back you get, the farther you will be able to throw him. And that is exactly what happened there, but luckily there's a wall up on top, so it doesn't really matter how powerful you throw the guy, he will hit there pretty much no matter what and then land on the platform if you're lucky. And the chopper is really good because you can stay pretty far back and just kill people with it from pretty far way away, and it'll bounce around and hit them a couple of times, especially the upgraded chopper. And I'm also using the nuke weapon here a couple of times. Oh, it's not the nuke yet, it's just the bomb one, but I'm still using that because it is a pretty good clear weapon. And unfortunately, I took a little bit of damage, so I sat here at these vending machines. I keep calling them vending machines. I sat here at these machines, blew up one of them by accident, and then just sat here at the other one until it gave me health. And health is apparently pretty uncommon from these, so if you really need it, these are good because they're good in desperation. But if you're, you know, 2 health away from being at full, then you'll probably be fine. These boxes, strangely, the explosive boxes are extremely common early in the game, but they don't seem to be very common at all in the later part of the game. And I don't really know why that is. I mean, they're a little bit evil with them at the beginning. There's a few times that you'll hit a group of boxes and there'll be an explosive one in the middle of it, and oh darn it, you just took 2 nanotech damage, because now they hit you for 2 damage rather than 1. But later on in the game, for some reason, they're just not very common. Okay, so now you're going to need to pick up the tractor beam once again, and you're going to need to get this ball and take it with you. And you don't really have a whole lot of time when it comes with this. So if you notice, with me, I kind of waited there, stalled for a little bit because I wanted to try to get the perfect time, and I think the ball is going to end up blowing up before I even make it to the other side. So you need to grab it immediately, and then extremely immediately start walking to those platforms, and remember that L1 will center the camera behind you, so if you're facing a certain way, you can push L1 and it'll make you face that direction. And then once you make it there quick enough, it should blow up in just a second and you can reach outside. Out here we'll be dealing with these catapults quite a lot more, and it's kind of a cool view out here. And I'm going to speed this part up again. I just wanted to go around and destroy as many things as I could. I thought maybe these spotlights did something, but I don't think they serve any purpose really, so they're just there for studs. And then we're gonna be catapulting this bomb on over to those 4 anchor points for this big giant fence that is blocking our way to the main beef of this section of this planet. Now, as I said before, the further you go back, the more powerful that the swing is, and there's kind of those dots on the ground that give you an okay reference to the distance that you need to pull this catapult back to hit something with it. This one here, you need to go back past those second rows of dots, and that should be just enough to hit it, or I guess just below that second row of dots. And then on these other 2, pretty much the same thing as the first 2 that you did, just kind of go back a little bit, and it's a little bit trial and error. I mean, it's hard to guess exactly where it's going to go, but you do it 2 or 3 times, you usually get it the 3rd time, and you're fine. Now, for some reason, I don't know why one of them is enough to power that entire fence. I guess maybe just redundancy, but you know, it seems to me that it would have been way more cheaper just to use one of them instead of buying 4 of them, but what do I know about galactic spending? Anyway, step on into this cool rocket limo, and then you can get onto this first world that really reminds me of Mario and Luigi, wait, what am I saying? It really reminds me of Super Mario Galaxy. And it makes you wonder, did Galaxy get its idea from this? Because it's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty similar. And even a crack in time, there were many parts when you're on a bunch of planets, and reminded me a lot of Galaxy, but I don't know, maybe Galaxy perfected the whole 3D sphere platforming thing, and Ratchet and Clank started it? I don't know, but anyway, so there are going to be a bunch of these kind of spotlights for these transmitters, and they're going to tell you where exactly they are. I guess they're transponders, and you can look at the map by pushing R3, and I had no idea what that was, but I found out pretty quickly it means you click in the right analog stick. So you click in the right analog stick, and the map will zoom out, and you can see the big beams of light where all the other transponders are. Around each transponder is usually a group of enemies, And the first few are pretty easy to get to. These first two are right at the bottom here, and all you have to do is raise them up with the ratchet and then whack them twice with the ratchet again to blow them up. I think you can hit them right from the beginning, or you can get right up next to him and hit him there, and you don't even have to worry about taking any damage. Now the next few ones can be a little bit weird to get to, and I only say that because this one you have to jump over a few platforms, so this one is still on the bottom level of this little world, and this one isn't too hard to get to. The other ones we're going to have to do some fancy jumping, and it's pretty fun to do that, but you'll see here in a second. So these platforms here kind of sink down when you jump on them. I don't think they sink forever. It's just sort of, I guess, your extra weight kind of gets them off balance. You can also follow those cables on the ground, and those will lead you to these massive jump platforms. And when you jump on them, you push X and you jump really high. Now you need to position the camera so you can see the platform you're supposed to jump on when you're actually getting up here. In this case, it was that one that I just jumped onto there, and then we can jump onto this middle platform so we can actually take out the transponder. Now, as I said, there's always enemies around these, so there's a few of those weird spider guys on this one, and we're gonna need to kind of take a look around and make sure that we know where the bolt is that we need to screw in for this. So for this one, it's just on the other side of where we originally were, and I just jumped up first just to make sure it was there. It's easier to see in the recording, but for some reason when I was playing it was a lot tinier on screen than it was here on the recorded video. Anyway, so I did find it, and I did pull up the transponder, so then you just gotta jump on down and do it once more. And then here in a second, you'll need to jump back down again because there's not a whole lot that you can do anymore. But anyway, here in a second, I spent a couple of seconds looking around to make sure, okay, that one's right over there. And that means I need to kind of head on over to the right and find another super jump platform so I can get on up to this, I think it's the 5th transponder we're doing here. And once again, just once you know where that tower is, it's just a matter of kind of looking around and making sure that you know kind of where it is. And here's the super jump platform for that one, so we're jumping right up immediately onto here, kind of to be swarmed by a couple of enemies. And I don't think any of them actually hit me there, so that was kind of lucky. And then we'll be jumping on up to this platform and have to jump over 2 more so we can get to the bolt that will let us raise this transponder. Now those spider enemies die instantaneously if you jump and smash your ratchet down on them, and there's a lot of times that if you're out of ammo and you have to use your ratchet, it's usually better to jump and attack than it is to just normally attack, because that way you don't risk getting hit as much because you are in the air, so it's harder to hit you, and it does more damage too. And this has the exact same kind of ratchet annoyance that the first one did, and by that I just mean when you swing the ratchet twice, it's pretty instant, but as soon as you swing it the 3rd time, ratchet has to do a circle, and that circle ends up getting you damaged more than it should, I think. So that's kind of annoying, and the best way to avoid that is just to kind of swing your ratchet, then wait a second, and then swing your ratchet, and then wait a second, and don't ever try not to let yourself get caught up into a ratchet combo. That way you won't have to worry about that swing. So anyway, this is going to be the final transponder, and as soon as we destroy this one, that'll be the end of the level.
Good work, my boy! You are proving to be invaluable in this underwear. Anywho, it appears the thief is now under the protection of thugs for less. But I may have found a way for you to insinuate their operation.
Is it dangerous?
No. Actually, yes it is.
Good.
Take a look at this.
The wind in your hair, the sun on your skin, the bugs in your teeth. We are the Desert Riders.
Before I became a desert rider, I didn't fit in anywheres. I had low self-esteem, bad breath, and a thing for ladies' undergarments. But these guys understand me. They really do.
Yeah, I'm just here for the bake sales. Oh yeah, I also make these cute gloves for all the guys.
So if you've got what it takes, use this temporary membership to enter the most grueling hoverbike race in the galaxy. Win it and become one of us. Desert Riders, the #1 leisure choice of thugs for less.
Desert Riders all use Megacorp bikes, so I just had to pull a few strings. Contract me as soon as you get more indignation. Fizz Widget, out.